Hey, 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 top of the morning to you. Sorry for the delay. I was having some technical difficulties. No, you're not the only one that has technical difficulties. Even us techno wizards have technical difficulties. Technology is my fifth pillar. My name is Brian. Welcome to Top of the Morning to you, where I come to you to talk about my five pillars: God, family, abundant life, adventure, and technology. We are in the midst of a book study right now. I have to get this off before I head out for the weekend with my mastermind group. We are in chapter 4 of the Atomic Habits. The first law, actually it's a whole section. The first law, make it obvious. The man who didn't look right. This is a great chapter because it seems obvious, but sometimes we need to make it obvious. Certain cues from last time, you had cues kind of trigger that cycle of a habit, good habits or bad habits. It's cue, crave, response, reward. And that's kind of all we're looking for. And everybody has different cues. Some things may cue you that may not cue somebody else. And then make it obvious. If it's something you want to do, you will need to make it obvious. If it's something you want to stop, you need to make it obvious. Have you ever been running around and being like, oh, I need some carrot? That's kind of your body taking care of itself, giving you a cue that there's certain vitamins my body knows are in carrots that I need, or spinach. My wife, she's like, I need some beef. I need the real beef right now, honey. I love fish, and I kind of avoid beef. Maybe my upbringing, I'm not sure what. But you don't even need to be aware of the cue for a habit to begin. That's a quote from the book. You don't need to be aware of the cue for a habit to begin. So those cues may not be aware, but there's also other things that you're already past the cue, you're into the craving, you're into the response, and you're like, what am I doing? Why am I here? Why is this cookie in my hand? So what cues do we need to find? What are those hidden cues that we don't even notice going on that we need to find and remember so that we can catch them in the craving phase or in the cue phase, even better, so that we don't go down that habit pattern anymore? I used to keep a bag of candy right here. I was bragging about my good food, but I used to keep a bag of candy right over here on my desk back here that was really easy to get to. Well, now it's up there, and I usually have a piece in the middle of the afternoon. That's kind of a cue reward system, and it's tamed down because it's not right here on my desk. So what cues do we need to remember, and what do we need to think of? One of the topics in the book that he talks about, actually, let's go back to the title of the chapter, The Man Who Didn't Look Right. I have a certain set of eyes to catch and pick up something. The story he gives at the beginning of the book, I don't remember exactly all it was, but there's a family get together, and this woman's in the healthcare industry, and she's busy, and she just looks at the guy, and she's like, you don't look right. And he thought it was a playful family jab. Hey, you don't look right, Uncle Billy. But she was serious. He really didn't look right. And just by looking at him, she knew something was wrong. It turned out there was, and they got him to the hospital, got him rescued and stuff. Those are the cues that were professional, that woman does all the time. You've heard the story about bank people and counterfeit detection. All they study is the real thing. And then they can easily pick up fake things. So they know and study real ones. They don't study a whole bunch of counterfeit dollars. All they study is the real dollars. And then when they see a fake dollar, it's like, that doesn't fit in. That's a cue. It's going to come up really fast like it did for that woman at the beginning. The habit scorecard, you need to kind of score. What habits are you doing? What is going on in your life? What are your cues? What cues do you want? How can you stack habits? I think that's later in the book, but we'll get back to it. What is unconscious to you? What are you unaware of that you need to be scoring? And sometimes it comes from the reward. Okay, what rewards did I get today that I didn't want to get? What rewards didn't I get today that I do want to get today? And then going backwards and setting up cues to get what you want, going backwards and finding the cues to stop what you don't want. So we need to find or remember or create cues for the right things, find and block cues for the wrong cues. From the book, as the psychologist Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your... Oh, I'm off the edge of the screen. It's right in the middle of the quote, too. It will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it faith. One of the systems in the book that was fascinating to me was calling it out. The Japanese railway system started this, where they're just calling out, stopping at the gate, slowing down, closing the doors. All the staff on the railway were talking about kind of common sense everyday steps of their job, but just by calling it out, others in the vicinity could hear it. They knew they were doing the right things. There's an awareness going on. My personal story in that, calling it out so that everybody knows what's going on, so that you're sure you're doing the right thing, is sailboat racing. One of the trickiest parts of sailboat racing is turning the boat and making a jibe with the spinnaker up downwind. And everybody's got a role in the boat. The guy, the skipper running the boats, is ready to jibe. And everybody says, ready. Or they raise a flag and say, not ready. And then the skipper will say, turning downwind. And the front guy in the boat can say, jibing the spinnaker. And he'll be taking the pole off of the mast and shifting it over and getting it hooked up on the other side and moving to the right places. Everybody else in the boat is balancing, and the skipper's watching and listening. And as soon as he gets that pole hooked up on the other side of the mast, he hooks it on, and it's secure between the pole and the sail out there. He says, it's made. And then we continue racing down the course. Aye, aye, Captain, to go back to the pirate way of things. But calling out what you're doing. I'm picking up this piece of candy. Okay, it's not a candy, it's a cough drop because of that horrible cough I had last week. I'm going to open it up and eat it. Whoa! Saying those two things might stop me from eating that piece of candy. Calling it out. I'm going to go running right now. All right, I said it. Now I'm more likely to keep going through those steps. I got to get my running gear on and doing that. So calling out things, whether you want to do them or not, really raises your awareness of what's going on. I'm picking up this drink. This is my soda from the movie last night, so luckily it's empty, but and I shouldn't have got the big one, so don't judge me for that. But usually there's the water over here in the morning. And I'm traveling this weekend, so I had to wrap up a few things last night. What is your level of awareness? Sometimes it needs to go up, and sometimes it needs to go down. That's from me. Sometimes our level of awareness needs to go up. We need to be picking up on everything. And sometimes my level of awareness needs to go down. I need to be focused in on what I am doing with no distractions. I can't remember if it's this. Oh, it's the other book I'm reading. Oh man, the other book is crazy. We'll get to that later. Sometimes you need to be more aware of things. Where are those rewards you don't want showing up? And that's an area you need to raise your awareness. Okay, what are the... you don't start with the reward. It goes through all 4 steps. What was the action or the response? What was the craving? And what was the cue? And a lot of times, in the areas we don't like, this craving creates a bigger result than the actual reward. Let me say that again. Sometimes that craving creates a bigger result than the actual reward. I think it's going to be like this. And it's really like this. And it comes with baggage. Cheating on your wife seems like oh yeah, that would be fun. I can't even think like that. But you see that hot woman at the coffee shop, or you're traveling and you're like, ooh, that craving, that imagination is much bigger and amazing than the reward. You think this is what's going to happen, and this is what happens. You think, oh, that sweet is going to make me feel really good, and now I'm 189 pounds. Remember that as you analyze your level of awareness. And then when you're getting distracted and stuff, your level of awareness needs to go down. You need to focus on what you're doing. Calling it out again, when I was ski coaching, we would travel, and we're at big events. We don't have a lot of space. We don't have a lot of time. It's the Junior Olympics, regional or national championships or international stuff, and you've got a van load of kids, 13 to 20 years old, depending on the event and on the trip, and I get in the driver's seat, and I just have this calling out. Skis, boots, bindings, poles, shin guards, bib, credentials. And the kids are all like, yep, got it. And they're like, bindings. And it's funny because the bindings are attached to the skis, so you really don't think of it. So it really increases their awareness because I said bindings, and that's not something they need to think about. But it got them listening. What is the list of things on there that they need to have to be successful in that race that day? Remember, the conscious mind is the bottleneck of the brain. When we start thinking about something, that's where we slow everything down. So if we can train and build up and use cue, craving, response, reward to automate stuff, to simplify life, that's awesome. But when we need, some of those things are there that we don't want, we need to take that bottleneck and use it. We need to use our mind and accept that bottleneck to make that change in our behavior. The more automatic a behavior, this is from the book, the more automatic a behavior comes, the less likely we are to consciously think about it. So that's where we got to bring it up. Bring it up. Why did I do that? What were the steps before? It's a habit. I don't know any of the 4 steps. I just do it. I walk in the room, I turn on the light. Great. That's fine. I walk in the room, I open the cookie jar, I take out the, holy moly, you just did a whole bunch of steps and now I'm fat. The more automatic a behavior comes, the less likely we are to consciously think about it. I get up in the morning and go through my savers. I don't think about it so much. I think about my scriptures. I'm actually thinking about my scriptures. Because it has gotten a little habitual and I lose focus. I caught myself, it wasn't my scriptures, but I was reading a spiritual book this weekend, and I caught myself down the page on Kindle, and I was like, whoa, I'm gone. And I had to bring myself back, and I reread the page. So I'm really getting that discipline of doing one thing at a time. You cannot be a switcher. Don't be a switcher. As much as you think you cannot be a switcher. Oh, that's the other book I'm reading. We got to read that book. We got to read that book. Stolen Focus. You got to read that book. You have got to read that book, Stolen Focus. It is, yeah, I'm only halfway through, I'm not even a third, I'm quarter way through it, halfway through it, and it's blowing my mind. Is my automation the right thing to do? So kind of, I'm repeating myself because that's how it gets in here. That's how it gets through. Saying it different ways, hopefully it'll sink into you and help your life. So, is my automation the right thing to do? I know more now than when I created that automation. Is it still the right thing to do? So even those good automations, are they the right thing to do? And I love to take an automation, I love to take a habit and stack it with another habit. Brush my teeth, I get up, I go downstairs, I drink my water. I go down, I grab and do my savers. I meditate. So I just I took one habit and I made it like 10 habits, and now it's like one big habit. It's one automation script. But we need to look at, is the automation the right thing to do? Even the good ones, especially the bad ones. Back to the scorecard. So as you go through a day, as you go through a week, start listing every single habit, every single thing. Turn on the light, grab the candy, grab the cookie, write in my journal, do my bookkeeping, do this, do that, all these habits. List them all down on a sheet of paper, on your computer, and give them all a plus, minus, or equals. Each score is individual. For you, it might be great to have a cookie at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. For me, it's kind of great right now, but I need to cut it out. It'd be greater to have an apple or a fruit or something, because I need to slim down a couple pounds before sailing season this summer. I don't know if that's ever going to come with all the snow. After you list those habits out, give them a score. They're individual. A plus is a positive thing, a minus is a negative thing, and a plus for you might be minus for me. An equal is it's indifferent. It's not positive or a negative habit or automation in my life. And then you've got a place to start. You've got something you've measured. All habits are effective. That sucks. And it's awesome. All habits are effective. That's why they're habits. They work. They happen. You don't have to think about it. They're effective. If it's popping up that cigarette and lighting it out, you didn't even think about it. It's effective. It hasn't taken any of your bottleneck conscious mind to do it. It's been effective. You keep doing it. So you need to look at that effectiveness and break it, check it, and if it needs to be broken, break it, because that effectiveness can be good and it can be bad. Back to the beginning, just recently I said something from Zig Ziglar: be, do, have. Does each habit I have on that checklist help me be what I want to be? Because first we have to be what we want. We need to be the creation God created us to be. And then we got to do the things that being that will do, and we will have the rewards. Wow, I just had a, what's it called when you discover something? It's not an anomaly, I'm thinking Star Trek. A discovery, I'll say, a light bulb. Boing, 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 boing. Be, do, have. Be who I want to be and I'll have it. Be, do, have is kind of like, be is the cue and craving. Be, controlling the cue and craving. Do is the response, and have is the reward. Be is choosing your awareness over your cues and cravings. You can stop a bad habit in the cue phase, which is the best, or before the cue phase. Well, the cue is always going to be there, so you got to recognize the cue. You can stop it there, or you can stop it in the craving phase. It's a little harder because now you're already like, yeah, I'm drooling over this. But be, do, have, cue, crave, response, reward. Quote from the book: does this behavior help me become the type of person I wish to be? Question mark. Does this habit cast a vote for or against my desired identity? Remember, in the earlier chapters of the book, we talked about creating your identity, creating your be, creating your cues and cravings, and training yourself to get it. But don't get down on yourself. Don't be judgmental. I am excellent at this, but don't do it. You just did something great by doing the scorecard. Let it just be a measure. Don't get down on yourself because there's 57 minuses, because you're going to write down more of the minuses because you care about them. They bother you more. They irritate you more. But don't get down. Don't judge yourself for them. Take out your be. Who are you going to be? And pick one of those minuses and analyze it and destroy it. pick one of those pluses and analyze it and make it more effective, make it more powerful, make it more the do that you want to be to give you the have. That's it. Become aware. What is that? That's just humble, meek, and real. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Blessed are the meek. Blessed are those that hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they will be filled. Thanks for joining me today. My name's Brian. This is Top of the Morning to Ya, Chapter 4 of the Atomic Habits. Stay tuned for Chapter 5 in the near future. Thank you for joining me, and you be blessed.